the meeting. Namaste and a very warm welcome once again to all of you. Thank you so much for making it here to this important meeting on trying to leverage technology in IKS content creation and education. Before we start the meeting, let's all do an invocation together. So requesting all of us to close our eyes. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavai Tejasvinavakitamastu Ma Vedvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Would request Raghavji to kindly set the context for today's meeting, and then I think Mohanji has requested me to share 2 videos that have been prepared by the BHeri team, which I will share.
You might need to mute everyone else. Although it's nice. The invocation is nice. Yeah. So thank you everyone for making it. I won't take long. I have a bad throat, so I'll also spare you some speech. But at Brihat, we've been talking about compounding and how things have to come together for scale on the IKS side. We firmly believe that we are at a moment of scale for IKS. We've always mentioned that we need 5 forces to come together: the policy leadership, academic leadership, industry, parents, and young learners. But all of this needs a creative force from outside. And I think we are in that moment. I remember when I was thinking about this, when I joined the mobile gaming industry in 2010 from an online gaming industry before that, I had the opportunity to see the power of technology as a platform when it enables creators. Apple iPhone, for those of us who remember that famous speech, was 3 things combined into one: the iPod widescreen with touch controls, the revolutionary mobile phone, and the Internet Explorer upgraded. Right? So we need that kind of platformification of IKS where different creators can actually use tech stacks and create their own heritage experiences. This is something all of us have discussed whenever we met, and very, very happy and proud to actually arrange this session, because the most substantial work on this is happening with the team that Mohan Raghavanji leads in IIT Hyderabad, who have developed a full-scale public utility tech stack. And this session is for all of us to understand what it enables us to do, and then what we can build on top of that. Very grateful to Mohanji for his time, because when we first discussed this idea, he was more excited. Typically, we have to chase. But with Mohanji, you can rest assured that he'll do it with more enthusiasm than you have. And that's exactly the temperament that we need for compounding. So thank you, Mohanji, and over to you.
Namaste all, and thanks for organizing this. I think it's a real pleasure to be talking to all of you together at one shot like this. And thanks so much to Raghavji and Bharat for organizing this. Before I go ahead, Namrata, maybe if you can just play those 2 videos. I'll just leave you with these 2 videos. Many of you might have seen this already. But it kind of just sets the tone for what we want to talk about. I won't go too deep into why technology, what technology. I think we're already sold on all of that. So we'll get into the point right away. If Namrata, can you please play that?
Heritage sites and temples have always been the heart of tourism, but the people living nearby, the locals, get little benefit from them. This is mainly due to limited, low-value services and products they can offer. There is an immense scope and an urgent need to boost the livelihoods of locals through the heritage sites. But how do we achieve this? Simple answer: technology. Technology can help the locals move up the value chain. They can become high value facilitators of a heritage site's experience. IIT Hyderabad's Department of Heritage Science and Technology presents Bharat Heritage Stack, or BHeri, a complete technology stack with modular components. BHeri creates an advanced ecosystem for heritage experience. It powers state-of-the-art knowledge experience centers. It harnesses the eternal appeal of heritage sites to create employment for locals and entertainment and learning for visitors. Let's see how. Templecraft uses 3D modeling and 3D printing to create Lego blocks for a temple structures. This enables skilled artisans to demonstrate the temple architecture. At the same time, people get an experience of building their beloved temples by their own hands. 3D maps combine maps and architectural blueprints to create 3D models. They capture the temple's layout, architecture, and surrounding topography. This technology powers immersive viewing and gameplay. Heritage Expedition is a three-dimensional 360-degree immersive walkthrough of the heritage site. This gives people a personalized experience of temple visit from anywhere in the world. It creates roles for VR specialists and guides to facilitate these immersive journeys. Heritage Run is an exciting game based on the temple's layout. It can be played in the temple's experience center on gaming consoles or completely online. It adds adventure to the people's temple visit and creates exciting roles for game demos and maintenance. Heritage Marketplace is an e-commerce enabler. It offers temple-inspired memorabilia and collectibles from clothes to coffee mugs. This creates opportunities for offline and online memorabilia stores that can serve both remote customers and on-site visitors. Heritage Whisperer is an intelligent speaker system that activates in human presence. It narrates rich tales of the temple's history in a soft voice. This creates opportunities for content creators to frame engaging narratives about the temple's history. Heritage TTS, or text-to-speech, can find relevant texts from digital servers and turn them into speech. This creates roles for digital server management, linguists, as well as voiceover artists in regional languages.
రామలింగేశ్వర ఆలయం అని కూడా పిలువబడే రామప్ప ఆలయం కాకతీయ రాజవంశం యొక్క పురాతన రాజధాని వరంగల్ నుండి 77 కిలోమీటర్ల దూరంలో దక్షిణ భారతదేశంలోని తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్రంలోని హైదరాబాద్ నుండి 157 किलोमीटर दूरंलो उंदी।
रामप्पा मंदिर, जिसे रामलिंगेश्वर मंदिर के रूप में भी जाना जाता है, दक्षिण भारत में तेलंगाना राज्य में हैदराबाद से 157 किलोमीटर दूर काकतीय राजवंश की प्राचीन राजधानी वारंगल से 77 किलोमीटर दूर स्थित है।
Ramappa temple, also known as the Ramalingeshwara temple, is located 77 km from Warangal, the ancient capital of the Kakatiya dynasty, 157 km from Hyderabad in the state of Telangana in southern India.
Bharat Tour Guide is an AI assistant to answer queries, design itineraries, and much more in any chosen language. This generates larger footfall by drawing in more visitors. Heritage Learning, powered by the Learner Company, creates bite-sized immersive learning journeys about the heritage site's history, architecture, impact, and more. BHeri's mission is to help people. It uses technology to honor tradition. It creates employment for locals and enriching experiences for visitors. It bootstraps and powers local businesses as stalls within the knowledge centers. It restores heritage spaces to their role as community educators and binders. BHeri's vision and mission is to enable our temples and heritage sites to once again become powerhouses of economy, entertainment, and education.
There's one more video, Mohanji, I'll play that as well. Mohanji?
Yes, please play that.
खेलति मम हृदये रामः खेलति मम हृदये रामः खेलति मम हृदये रामः खेलति मम हृदये रामः खेलति मम हृदये मोहमहार्णव तारककारी मोहमहार्णव तारककारी मोहमहार्णव तारककारी मोहमहार्णव तारककारी रागद्वेषमुखासुरमारी 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 खेलति मम हृदये शान्तिविदेहसुता सहचारी शान्तिविदेहसुता सहचारी दलरायोध्या नगरविहारी परमहंस साम्राज्योधारी परमहंस साम्राज्योधारी सत्यज्ञानानन्द शरीरी सत्यज्ञानानन्द शरीरी खेलति मम हृदये रामः खेलति मम हृदये रामः खेलति मम हृदये
Thanks, Namrata, for playing, and namaste to all. So what you've showed were two videos. The first one is the BHeri stack, and the BHeri stack is a collection of technologies. It's a collection of different pieces of technology that were developed in various labs, which we have brought together for a very focused purpose. In this particular case, to enable the sustainability of the Tirtha Kshetrams. So that was the particular context in which all these technologies were brought together. And one additional demo video was through fly-throughs, etc., which could be a use case for a lot of us when we want to showcase a concept or a few thoughts on social media. We always look for some AI generated content that is copyright free, but we can also use them to express our thoughts and ideas better. So the second one is more in that league as well, although that is also being that can be used in the previous context of enabling the Tirtha Kshetrams as well. But the broad point I wanted to make is that when we bring a bunch of very diverse and seemingly unrelated bunch of technologies, from chatbots to LLMs to AIs to computer vision to aesthetic gaming kind of reconstructions to a lot of these various different diverse kind of technologies brought together, and enabled as open stacks, it can bring a lot of value to every particular area of enterprise. And what BHeri tries to do is bring together these many and a lot more other technology that are on the way, and bring it together as one open stack so that we can offer services to a variety of different contexts. The first context was largely people who are managing small temple trusts or tirtha kshetrams, etc., and want to build sustainable models out of delivering experience to people who come in. That was the answer. Similarly, a lot of these technologies can be brought together and opened up as a way of providing service to a lot of people who are delivering IKS content. So this is the specific exercise which I think most of you are involved with, and wanted to just put here that this is an exercise to start talking to all the stakeholders, which is all of you who are in the process of generating a variety of IKS content, and to ask what kinds of problems do you face, or what kind of services do you expect from a technology stack of this kind. So I've shown you one example in a slightly different context. Of course, it is an IKS context itself, but slightly different one. But our idea now is to actually bring all of these technologies together, notably the LLM chatbot search kind of technology, which we have already. And we are bringing it up for an IKS knowledge, content, creation, retrieval, generation, all of these contexts. And so I wanted to hear before we start putting it in the form of a stack or a service, because you are the people who will likely use it. And we wanted to hear from you how you would like to use it. What are the kinds of services that you want? If you had some software that will be like a Hanuman to a Rama and do whatever is you think of, right? So what is it that this service or this software, how would it work? This is what we want to hear from you, and now it's all over to you. And the rest of the time, it's for us to listen and take notes. Namrata, if you can also take notes, I will be taking notes myself, but if you can also take notes just in case I miss out.
Sure.
Okay, it's
Lakshmi,
over
you
to
also
you
can
now.
take notes.
It's over to you all now. I mean, I will invite anybody who would, like to go. I mean, describe what challenges you face in generating IKS content. How should a software be that you would use to do it? And before doing this, let me also make it very clear. BHeri and all of these other stacks that will be under BHeri, they are developed by a public institute, public institute of eminence, IIT Hyderabad, and it is going to be put out as an open thing. So just to make it clear, it is not a for-profit enterprise. Okay, and we are particularly, but running things from within a government setup or an academic lab has its own challenges because of the way it works. So in order to give it a very professional kind of a service, and at the same time keep it out of the rough and tumble of for-profit politics or for anything else, we are likely to make this into some kind of a non-profit company which is professionally run and keeps running the software, so it you can depend on it. That's the whole point, because if you cannot depend on it, it's there today, not there tomorrow. It's a bit of a hassle for everybody. So that is the trajectory we are taking. The exact contour is not exactly decided, but we'll keep you updated. But it is going to move into non-profit space as a non-profit company, which is started up and incubated within IIT Hyderabad, which provides for all of these services.
So I think if anyone has questions or thoughts, probably raise your hands and Namrata can help moderate. Vinodji.
Well, okay. Yeah, it's really wonderful work, highly impressive. Now I have one suggestion rather, that for a common user, from user point of view, if I want to create a content, I visit some place, maybe Tirthasthala, and then I take a lot of photographs. I also have my video camera, so I have some clippings with me. Now, removing the personal, family related photographs and images, I want to do something with the content that I have. Now, for that, I require a kind of authoring tool which can seamlessly integrate all the utilities that actually we have seen in the last two videos, that they are coming from diverse origins and they use diverse technologies. Now we require an authoring tool which can seamlessly integrate all these possibilities and utilities to add my own content to it as well. So my suggestion is, can there be a broad-based authoring tool development possible? That's my suggestion.
So what will be the output of this authoring tool? So you will input your photos and whatever text you have, and what will it generate from, coming out of it? Something like a reel or
it may not be my personal photographs. It will be if I visit, say, some place in Nashik or some other place, and then I have my personal, in the sense, my point of view of projecting, say, temple over there, Trambakeshwar temple, for instance, and I see certain specific things which are from heritage point of view important, from artistic point of view which are important, and then I want to capture it in my different way, and for that I require some, and apart from that I want to also use the tools that you have already integrated with you. Now, using your content as well as my personal content, I should be able to create something which will add value from various perspectives.
I get it. I get it. So, if you want to actually create a short talk of yours playing in the background with all of these photos and images, etc., playing in the front, you want a way to author this, right? Okay, great. I got it. Part of it can already be done here. For example, in the model that we showed, so it will have representations of all the major Tirtha stalls. So once you go in there, you can set your camera paths and say, you should start from here, then walk through to this place, then fly from here to here, etc. And then it will generate a video for you, and then you can use voiceover on top of it to do things like that. The complete thing end to end is not yet integrated, but that's where we are getting. That's where we are getting. Sure. We'll find a way to also add your personal photographs, etc., of this place, etc., if that works. Great, thanks. I get this. It's a very valuable.
Great. That will be really a major facility for all the IKS interested people.
Great. That will definitely. In fact, I also wanted, that. But just throw this idea since you brought it up. I used to think that, let us say today I am going to talk about the shore temples of Mahabalipuram. It's just, let's say, a talk, okay? Yeah. And then I immediately want to choose a proper locale for doing this talk, and I all wish that I can take everybody together to the shore of Mahabalipuram and then sit there and actually have the session there. But unfortunately, it's a webinar; we can't do it. Right? So in this virtual place, we navigate through that place, find a particular place and say, book this as my conference room for today. Yeah. Right? So if that is there, then it automatically kind of becomes your backdrop and you can speak like you're saying. It's like this virtual background and things like that, but it's a very configurable virtual background that you can tweak exactly with the angle also, so that the angle also will look, a lot of times our backgrounds are straight out of libraries, so they look like you're just stuck into it with a wall, right? But if you are given the ability to manipulate the angle from which the background shot is taken, it will actually look like you are sitting on the temple, on the floor, wherever you would want it to be. I mean, is that an idea that also adds some value to what people think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, great. That will be great.
Okay, great. I get that. So that should also be there. That is just by a simple one step. Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, Srinivas ji, please go ahead.
Yeah. So Namaste, Mohan Raghavanji. So I was just curious whether is it possible to integrate the available knowledge, that is, lot of history that now which is popular, which has to be actually become popular, isn't that much available. Like we have in the south, we have something called as kaifiyats and etc. So where a lot of content is there, but it has to be integrated in such a way where it should be accessible or more, add a bit more experience to it. So it is very localized. If we take each and every village has a documented history of, for say, at least 500 to 600 years. So, is there any possibility that through OCR and all that stuff and all, machine translation and all this, can we integrate the available information with this, whatever we are trying to do in this stack?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's in fact the first thing that we are looking at. How do we integrate existing pieces of knowledge? And most importantly, more than integrating, there is no point in integrating if we cannot retrieve the right things at the right time. Correct? And retrieve the right things at the right time. Especially, I've noticed, at least as an author myself, a lot of times if my writing takes me 1 hour, putting together the references to it in the right format, although I know it, takes me 2 hours. Right. So this is a common problem for all of us who generate content or try to make things like this here. So absolutely, we are doing it. We are bringing in a lot of content together so it can be searched. And you're talking about village records, etc. If there are very localized content, we can also tag it back to the previous location.
Yeah, that can be done by someone who can, yeah.
So
that actually adds a lot
virtual
to
model, yes, that can also be tagged back. Yes, absolutely, that can be done. We are already on it. The technology backend engines for it are getting ready. So we should be able to
because why I'm asking is this, because if we now Google it, you don't get that information.
You will not get.
But that
if
information
you Google,
is there.
You only get Google is like second-hand info that gives you only things from very popular bloggers.
Yes.
So
yes.
if some popular blogger has blogged it, whether he blogged correctly or whether he blogged rubbish, you will get it. So we are left at the mercy of popular bloggers. Absolutely. That is exactly the problem we are trying to solve. Retrieval, authentic information from primary sources. Right? So from primary sources, and using that primary source you speak whatever you want on the side. As long as the primary source is visible, you can always separate the wheat from the chaff. Absolutely, absolutely. This is something this is definitely on our radar. We are definitely doing this.
Priya ji, please go ahead.
Maybe Anil ji can go, and then after that, Guru Priya ji can.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a few students team at IIT Roorkee. We are sitting together. So one of PhD students is asking a question.
Sure, please.
Sir. Yes. So what? So I'm a scholar here in the design department. I'm working in the field of architecture, Indian knowledge system. So, sir, from my point of view, what I wish to suggest, but what I used to get is that, for example, when I have been to Elephanta, through an example, I wish to give the site. For example, I have been to Elephanta. There I've found many other people who actually guide us that what are the different artifacts, what are the different planning. It is from their own traditional way of knowledge and all those things. So, but one thing what I actually noticed that, for example, one guide is saying one thing, the other guide is saying another thing. There is no such link, but not a genuine idea. I'm getting as a scholar, by anyone who is going there, he's not getting a genuine idea of the planning by artifacts, all the things. So how those things can be rectified and can be generalized, but and give the authentication of that things and of the idea in that particular site when we are visiting in an AI mode, by in an AR mode, matlab artificial virtual reality mode. We can walk through the site, and we'll have the authentic ideas, not having different ideas from different people. Those things can be rectified through this technology.
Right. So one thing I would like, this is a very genuine problem, and we face this a lot of time, not just with Tirtha Kshetras or, it is just any other time. But there is one point I would like to make, when I wear two hats, one of a technologist and other of an IKS, as an IKS content person. As as any, I would say technologists should keep away from determining what should be the right source, which is valid, which is not valid. That is something that should be left to the experts in the IKS system of knowledge that is relevant. And they will flag, or they should flag things as, authentic, non-authentic, based on references, relevances, etc. And technology should only pick up the thoughts or the previous ratings, etc., that are developed by genuine IKS experts. So that is how I would think this should be solved. Technology shouldn't get into this job of trying to upvote or downvote or rate, because otherwise we will end up with the same situation as we are right now here. And so that's one thing that I would like to say. As a technologist, I will not want to get into this job of this, although I myself also write IKS content, but as a technologist, I will not touch it. I will leave it open, and maybe as an IKS author, I may want to comment on it, but not as a technologist.
Gurupriya ji, you can go ahead, and then after that, Raghu ji and Shivakumar ji and Ajit ji.
Many pranams to you, Mohan ji. Namaste to everyone here. When look at the larger IKS ecosystem, I look at many of us engaging in three dimensions of activities. One is documenting, another is publishing, the third aspect being teaching, in which immersive learning can be there, immersive experiences can be there. It's a teaching moment, even when we have some among the tools that you had shown us here in terms of visiting to the temple and looking at listening to the particular tool that you had shared. I believe it's Bharat Tour Guide or a Bharat Heritage TTS that allows us to listen to. What I see is in the larger ecosystem, there are huge spaces in these three silos, be it in documenting, publishing, or creating immersive learning experiences for all. Towards this, what's existing right now, if you could help us understand, for example, what is the learning management system that you had spoken of very briefly? It comes in the how do we access it? And number two, do we have any APIs to work on the documentations, be it with the My 3D maps? How do we apply access for grant permissions for some among these? Other than that, in publishing, I've spoken broadly, but something very specifically, there is a huge challenge in just textual publication of Indian content in Indian fonts. Right now, many fonts are proprietary. Even OTF fonts, you'll have to use a proprietary software to produce many of this. To mitigate this, at IIT Bombay, I've been part of the Shobika font, which is a free font set. We can work on it. But I've been struggling so hard to make it a web font. Today, we do not have any web font to work on any platform which has Veda Matras in it. The Murthy Foundation has worked with a particular font, which is the Murthy font. Otherwise, there are not enough open. Nowadays, Google requires us to give programmable fonts. This is a huge problem. As many of us continue to publish today, we have access to LaTeX and tech tools. Not many in the IKS arena have access to good publishing tools of text alone, not just multimedia. So we might need an overleaf alternative or an overleaf with open and programmable font in it with all the Vedamas for various languages. Towards that, if there can be a team that can cross-collaborate between foundations to work towards as well, is a very specific granular needle in the haystack sort of a problem that I've been, but it is sort of creating a huge blockage in publishing ICG. I have worked around it in many ways. I've worked with LaTeX and digital tools too, but open fonts aren't available for all languages very easily, and web
web fonts, especially with all the Samyuktaksharas all well represented.
Thanks, Gurupriyaji. This is an absolutely, very, very true observation, something that comes from the depth of your experience and your work. This problem, so the first part of it that you talked about, which is largely around how do we get access to the open APIs for 3D5 maps, etc. So that's coming, it's on the way. We are on the way to actually open it up as APIs, etc. So what we did, very honestly, I'll tell you, what we did was we built technology to show that this would work. We developed 1 or 2 use cases and a bunch of, lot of engines behind. Okay, but now we are actually in the process of actually, putting together the seats, the chassis, and all of it to make a car. And while doing that, we did not want to do it in our grand isolation of labs, because you may build an engine in the lab, but you can't build a car in the lab. The car must be built in the public place, talk to people, find out what they really need and make it. Otherwise, the car is going to be a useless piece of hardware. So that's exactly what we are doing right now. The engines and the core set of machinery is there, but we are now trying to figure out what kind of APIs people need, what kind of services need. And I know that's not something that you can throw out on a call, but please do give a thought to it. And if you have an API request, you would like an API of this kind, please do share with us. We'll be very happy to, add that, look at it in our API configuration. In addition, you talked about several tools and fonts that you have already developed or others have developed. If there are such things, please do let us know. Let's all come together. I mean, I don't think any one person is going to be able to solve all of these problems. We all need to get together, and I'm very happy to, take in all of these tools. I only see myself as just curating a lot of these things that are happening. Whatever I have access to, I develop. What I don't have, somebody else has. Very happy to, we will all bring it together. This is something that's for everybody. So it is quite open. When it comes to publishing also, yes, the authoring LaTeX kind of tool, yes, we are looking at one part of the problem. Although I must admit, I had not looked at this font, font issues, etc. But that is something I'll be very happy to look into and see if we can help it. But we are developing a broad publishing kind of tool. Especially one of the initial feedbacks I got from people was the inability to generate citations for IKS content. Today, when you want to cite anything in scientific literature, you go to Google Scholar, you search for the paper, there is a cite button below it, you click on it, you get it and you can put it. Or you can add it to Mendeley or any of the other citation managers, it's all there. You hardly spend time looking for citations that way. But in IKS content, I was very surprised to know when I was publishing with some journals that even they did not have a standard way of giving citations for Indic text. And mind you, this was Oxford, not anybody else. The chief editor was an Oxford person, and it was a journal run by Oxford, and he was candid enough to admit, yes, that we come across this problem all the while, and with Indic text, we don't know how to cite it. There are so many different ways of doing it, right? And so this is one problem definitely we are addressing, on how to come up with a citation manager for Indic content, that if you search for something, it tells you, so and so particular line of a particular Upanishad, which edition, which publication, which year, etc., etc., and then automatically generates a citation for you. We don't have to waste all of that time. So that part of the problem is being looked into, and we are close to a reasonably good solution for a citation manager that allows you to search and all of that. I'll be very happy to explore what you have developed or others have developed in terms of font and web fonts and publishing. We'll be very happy to take it on board along with that.
Raghuji, please go ahead. And after that, Shivaji and Ajitji. I also see Brahmavachas Sikshaji. After that, you can go ahead. Go ahead, Raghuji.
Yeah, thank you. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. Namaste, sir. My name is Raghuttama. I am a content writer as well as a video maker. So I'm a YouTuber, basically. I run a YouTube channel focusing on history. medieval and late medieval history, particularly about Vijayanagara Empire. So as a video maker, the challenge that I'm facing is to create those buildings and the forts and those maps, etc. So I would like to know from you that do you have any plans to give us like all these AI imaging technologies, like text to image and then image to video kind of stuff? So the problem that I'm facing right now while using these other AI tools available is that they are unable to understand the Indian context, right from face to dress to ornaments to buildings, etc. And when I drill it down to South India and to Vijayanagara, they are utterly failing in giving me the desired output. So as we are into the age of infotainment, we have to present the information in an entertaining way and also edutainment. So do you have any plans, sir, to support content creators like us who rely mostly on visual content than the text? Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. And this has been my problem. And so we have multiple projects running for this particular space. And my favorite test case is this. I used to just ask any text to image generation tool, like, DALI or anybody, give me an image of Veena. Okay. And it will almost unerringly give you something like a cross between a guitar and a sitar. It doesn't know what a Veena is. So, this used to be my favorite test case and very amusing for me. Because for us, it's such a huge class of objects that, it's inconceivable that, the AI doesn't know about it. So the short answer to this problem is yes, we are completely seized of this problem. We have one or two guys working on this. We're not building, the image generation capabilities completely. We are reusing what is already there, but also teaching it, trying to find how we can teach it the cultural context of, IKS, and feed it with particular kinds of, information. There are two things which we have chosen initially as use cases, and we will expand later on. One is currently sculpture. So we have a huge database of sculpture based on which we are trying to use AI that will try to understand what the sculpture is and also using this to generate sculpture of the kind we want. For example, give me Hoysala style, sculpture murti of, the Saraswati in a dancing pose, which is a Natya Saraswati. But in the right hand like this, left hand like this. Right. So these are the kinds of problems that we are trying to develop tech for. So definitely, Raghuji, we have plans for doing this. But I must also tell you that this is going to take a little bit more time, right? So because it's quite to have a tool that will be able to understand all contexts will take a little bit of time. We have started with the specific context of sculpture and some simple cultural artifacts like instruments, etc., etc. So we are working on it, and hopefully in about 9 to 12 months we should have an offering for all of you. Secondly, where you talked about you working on Humpy, etc., this is where we think we can possibly help. We are trying to see if we can the BHeri engine with 3D5 maps that we talked about, right? We are trying to see if we can have some multiple layers on that will allow us to step back in time or step forward in time kind of thing, so that it will have a few cultural periods to show up. But that is also in the works. It will take a little bit of time. But we are completely aware of this problem. We are developing, looking at tools that need to be developed for this space. So you can expect to hear some good updates from us in the next 12 months.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Shiva, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Raghav. Namaste, Mohanji. Significant work. Congratulations. I have a slightly, maybe a distant reality question, but I still want to ask. How far would we be from imagining an AR/VR run of a temple, a walk through within the temple, where, I should be able to take such an object and craft my own experience within that, in the sense that I'm at a certain image, a certain murti, and I have crafted some text, something else, some audio around it, and uh, somebody who is in that at that point, gets that experience. So from the use case that I'm putting forward is that I should be able to offer a unique temple walkthrough experience to people who come on my website. And I think it is coming, because when I see several, this may not be very, this may not have any specific IKS orientation to it, because this is a generic technology to be able to offer a walkthrough with text, audio, at each point, is something others in rest of the world would also be probably already offering. But this is what will get the next generation interested. Depending upon a community or a situation or a need, we should be able to craft different walkthrough experiences. Of course, that assuming all content, authenticity, etc., will ignore it for now. But having a technology that can be used by diverse set of people to create diverse temple walkthrough experiences, how far we would be from such a solution?
See, that is something we are rather close to. At least having a basic form of it, we are rather close to. Because what you saw was developed exactly the same way. In fact, in that Ramappa temple, you can actually walk through with your glasses or through any other means, any way you want. So it's not prescribed only that you should walk through this place. You can pretty much walk through multiple other places. Okay, so that part of it is there. And once you're able to walk through multiple other places, you can actually give your voiceover, get it recorded as well. You point your pointer at certain places and say this is what it is. So all of this is pretty much nearby here. The only question is now of productization and packaging and APIs. So that is what is our current endeavor. We want people like you to say how you are going to use it. I will touch base with each of you with a more detailed conversation, so I can understand your use cases better, so that we can give some basic, give you APIs, or possibly a way to access these things for you to do. But I feel this is something that is close by. I understand a multiverse way in which you will also be able to see yourself and others. It's a little bit away, but it's I think we are reasonably close to having something where you can actually walk through, talk while you walk, and explain and point out while you walk. I think this is very doable at this point in time.
Ajit, I think just in time, as somebody's talking about VR experiences. Go ahead, Ajit.
Thanks, Raghav. Wonderful, Mohanji. And I remember you reaching out on day one of the video, and I don't know if I was the first one to view it, but it was a beautiful experience. And as I told you, this is 80% of the roadmap of what my company is doing, right? So I really look forward to this partnership and the APIs that we've shared already with you. Hope they are in build and we should be able to consume it. My question is more on, as I said, the keep alive of the infrastructure, right, which you're working on now, taking the Section 8 company route, which is what is required. Because if we sign up for something like this, we need to ensure that this goes beyond a person or an institution or a political establishment, right? It has to live on. So that was my main concern, which you have addressed already. The other question that I have right now is the infrastructure that you're going to put this on, the cloud or whatever it is, because there'll be millions or billions of API calls from across. Raghu will talk about the visuals, and somebody will talk about the text, somebody will upload a Sanskrit manuscript, want a Malayalam translation or a transliteration, whatever it is. The infra that we need, it is going to be an amazing challenge, and I look forward to what you have in your thought in terms of scaling this up and also ensuring that there is a permanent remote access to all the APIs, right? So yeah, that was my question. The cloud infra, what kind of a scale are we looking at?
Correct. So the cloud infra at this point in time, I am although I'm reasonably convinced now that there will be a good number of users, I really don't yet have a hang on exactly how many API hits I should be expecting and how the trajectory will go. And that's what I'm trying to discover right now. And today's session is actually part of it, trying to understand what kind of requests will come in. And I plan to, this is just a beginning. And with this, along with all your help, I plan to reach out to a wide range of creators to try to understand how much capacity I should budget for. Definitely, when we start off, it will only be at a very modest scale, probably something that, so very honestly, the plan is like this. We will start eventually in some kind of a beta mode where it is open only to this consortium members, right? So let us think of this meeting room as a consortium where we've all come together, and initially it will be open only for consortium members for maybe a year or year and a half, I would say, possibly even 2 years, right? So in this time, this allows us to fine tune, our cloud infrastructure, get a handle on the demand, what kind of things will be needed, and also it will it will be required for us to teach together, put this infrastructure under the Section 8 company, all of those things. So I'm expecting that we will provide early access to all our consortium members very early, as soon as we're able to put it, but with the explicit understanding that in the beta mode, things are likely to be very flaky. It may fail, quite a few times. But within the family, I think it is all okay. We all understand, and but we would like to give that early access out. But eventually, I am looking at scaling up as much as it takes, and I believe that scaling will be a huge part of what we do, and which is exactly why I'm taking a little bit of time at this stage and not jumping into productization. I want to gauge, size the whole thing up properly, set myself up for scale, make sure I have a good governance structure for this, make sure I bring in all the consortium members together, etc. And also, give everybody that comfort factor that this is something that is there for us, and this is not something that is going to take anything away from us. So that's broadly where I am right now, and the Section 8 company is actually part of that job. We are trying to find out where all of this is regarding the APIs, etc. I'm again hoping that in about 9 months, I can open it up for all of you here in consortium members in the form of an API for you to start using. I will probably pick the top 3 or 4 most common API calls that everybody would ask for, and start opening it up from 6 to 9 months time frame, and keep going forward from there. I'll keep sharing with you the detailed plans of how things go. Right now, I'm in the consultation phase, trying to understand the demand, what kind of APIs many of you will want, and try to pivot around that. So that's honestly where we are.
Brahmavarchas, Sikshaji, please go ahead, and then Srihari, you can.
Thank you.
There are some questions on the chat also, Mohanji. We will curate that. Shastriji, we'll curate that.
Sorry, let me look at the questions. You want me to look at the chat questions now?
We will, after we are done with the current questions.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so shall I go ahead, Raghavji?
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, great. Thank you. Namaskar, Mohanji. So first of all, congratulations. I think it's a fantastic effort. And the moment I saw the invite for this, I really jumped up that this exactly is what I've been looking for. And I'm very glad that an Indian institution is something which has started working on it. So a lot of people have put in, part of the questions that I had, and you had partially answered. So I will mainly talk about two questions. The first is with reference to the API. So I will start from the challenge that we face, and I'll just in one line I'll say that I represent, or rather I am the founder for Brahmavarchas Shiksha, Brahmavarchas Education Society, which is working on with the motto of making Vedic education mainstream, bringing it in forms of knowledge capsules and e-learning capsules, which are not just webinars or videos, but actual content that any either the organization or school or anyone can pick it up. And our focus is I'm associated with Sanskriti Arya Gurukulam, where the focus is on making the praja, more able and focusing on the student generation primarily. So the content that I create has both audio, visual, as well as the scriptive part of it, the description and the text. So the challenge that I face, for example, I did not have any authoring tool in India which would cater to this. So I had actually taken license for a Canadian tool. It's called iSprings. You might be aware of it, which I use to create content. Now, I'll talk about the challenge part of it. Now, when I was actually looking for it and searching for things, they said, of course, they support 5 Indian languages as well. And they support Devanagari script. And they did show me some demonstrations. And of course, that was working well. But the challenge comes that, in a country like India, where we talk of either a regional experience or a very language specific experience, the intention is, for example, currently everything that we develop is in Hindi and English. So that is a fundamental principle that we follow. Even our website is bilingual. So to translate from the entire course from one language to the other, currently I have to do it manually. The reason being, there are a lot of AI tools, of course, who claim to translate it to Indian languages, especially to Hindi, which is, I think, the people understand it would be the most widely spread spoken language among all Indian languages, vernacular languages. So that there are AI tools, but even if I pay for those very expensive AI tools, my content is very heavy. Like it's, the description is really too much. So even after paying a lot of amount, what they translate is very poor quality. It is even worse than Google Translate, actually. And especially when it is, Tatsam Hindi, I would say that the Sanskritized words, or in fact the typical Sanskrit words, because we use a lot of shloka, use a lot of sutras in explaining things. So they run absolutely zero on that. So you did talk about the API part of it. So one API I would say is a challenge because we are facing this. An AI tool, because it is an Indian, it has been built up by Indians for India and for IKS in particular. Usually what all these AI tools seem to claim is that it doesn't change the format of my course. For example, I have certain presentations, I have certain animations, a lot of things. So the placing of the text doesn't go away. So I can export the entire file and I can simply import the translated version. So that part of it actually is something which I'm not able to do if I'm doing it manually. And it takes me a lot of time. And I want to cater to at least 5 Indian languages, but I will not be able to do it because then I'll be challenged on bandwidth. So the first question is, or rather the request is, the challenge that I'm facing is to have the capacity for AI to translate correctly. That is one part. And secondly, again, if it can be API based, because for example, I have a certain file that I want to. So at that time only I call that API and it can kind of get me a translation. The need not be probably even a real time one all the time, but it'll be a specific call. If I'm integrated, then I make a call to it. And then in the same way, just like the typical AI tools do, but they charge a bomb for it. And that is, I don't think so. Most of the content creators are in a position to create those kind of amounts that usually organizations pay. And the worst part is the Devanagari script. Again, I think Mahoday from Manadi also spoke about that. The Devanagari script per se, or any other script that you use for Sanskrit is very difficult for them to rightly interpret, I would say. And I'm not even talking about the Veda matras and all. So that part is something where we face a challenge. And so that API is something which is really helpful. And on the same lines, the speech to text part of it, like the very first question that the gentleman asked, where he was basically in a way talking about creating a knowledge log or a travel log kind of a thing, where the text to speech, like I work on a lot of Upadeshas that Guruji gave, and there are big sessions and big seminars, and I create content and courses out of it. So I have to do a lot of text to speech to text translation. But since I don't have the right tools, I have actually hired a person to only do this job day in and day out. And that person is only doing that because I have loads and loads of content to do that. So if that is something which is either in offering already in the plans that you have, or is there something that you can probably accommodate? I think that would be a fantastic thing, from that perspective. And again, multiple languages, if at the same time, I don't know if somehow we can combine these two APIs or these two capacities, that is something. And the third part, I'm sorry, this is the last question, Raghaji, is like we have the stock images, the challenge, I think a lot of content creators would also feel that the typical, what do you call the photographs, the Indian characters, the Indian images, for example, even the rishis and all that, there's a lot of things that we have to imagine, and therefore a lot of things there are models who can stage it and then create it. So Indian characters, Indian context are very difficult to find. And similarly, on the same grounds, the AI content that you will be generating, the AI images that you will be generating, will this also be a possibility to kind of have just like you have the stock images, like have a stock image repository that people can use and download images from, including the AI images, I would say. Though, that's a different topic. Currently, the AI images which are being created, they have distorted angas. And I think it's not good from a Vastu and from a lot of other perspective also, assuming that will anyway be taken care of. But the idea is to be for others to be able to use that, like a copyright free kind of a content, or even if it is available for a very small price, because we have to look at sustainability also. But that tool, the Indian images, the Indian characters, and most importantly, the ancient characters that we talk about. Like, for example, if we have to look at Sushrut, we really have the worst kind of sketch available that we use to demonstrate Sushrut used to do surgery. It's a very, laughable sketch, unfortunately. But no one actually, there is no motivation for people to actually contribute by creating better sketches. So I think that is where we might need to leverage AI to create more realistic and gambhir images actually of our characters, and especially of our rishis. And the super last question, which was about dependency, the gentleman just because before me, I'm sorry, I missed his name, who was lucky enough to see the video the first time, is the dependency part of it. And why am I saying that? I'll share a very live example. There is a Gita super site, a fabulous thing that IIT Kanpur has developed. It was probably developed long back. This is something I need to use in one of my courses. And I have been trying to get in touch with the people, the responsible team or so, including the fact that one person who's an alumni from IIT Kanpur actually went in person to find out how can I get that permission so that I can either integrate through APIs or whatever way they want me to integrate it. But we could not find someone. So though it will be a team, and from a sustainability perspective, you're saying you're going to have an HC company. But again, finding the people who have the knowledge, who will be able to pass it on in case someone comes up with a query or some kind of these things in future. Is there something, are you thinking of building a process around it as well? Or is it something that we will see how it develops? And with that, I'm sorry, I end my list of a number of questions. Thank you for the patience.
Great, thanks. I think it was a very, very valuable, feedback that you have, a list of needs, and this is really what I've been looking forward to. I will take into consideration all of these, and of course, I will get back to you for more detailed clarifications, especially around what is not working with translations, what's not working with existing authoring tools. I'll be very interested in knowing more about it, so I will reach out to you separately. Right. So, but apart from that, let me tell you again your issues on stock images, characters, etc., and images that are more gambhira or more befitting the particular mood, their countenance, etc. Absolutely agree with this. This is what got me also into this whole project of generating characters. And Ajit ji is again another person who is very, very high on this particular thing. This is exactly what we are trying to do. We will get more content, multimedia models that you can possibly animate, images that you can possibly use. Actually, also bring in, we are thinking of bringing in actually very good illustrators in the initial phase to actually cater to all of these requests. And over a period of time, AI has to go. Today, we just don't have good enough data on which to train AI also. For images that will actually qualify the test of Indianness or Bharatiyata, especially the face, countenance, etc. There are, so we don't have enough sufficient images in the public domain to be able to train an AI to generate a variety of expressions. Even if you ask and say, the Navarasas and get Rama in a variety of different moods, it will fail because there is not clearly enough data that will, pass muster here. So all of these are on our, drawing board. We are, planning to bring in a bunch of illustrators to do that will satisfy requests in the short term and will also provide data for our AI, etc. So all of these are, we are completely seized of it, but I do need a few more details, especially on translation and stuff, because I feel there is a lot of technology already there. So I'm trying to understand what doesn't work for you and try to the solution could be something as simple as finding the right tool for you that already exists, or slightly tweaking some of those tools. Because I think machine translation has come a long way. The only issue I feel is possibly because most of our content in IKS is multilingual and changes in format from Gadya to Padya to Shloka to Sutra to a variety of different kinds. This is something that probably the current engines don't understand very well. And I will come back to you for more clarification on exactly what's not working, and we'll try and find ways that work for you.
Great. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Mohanji.
Sherry, you can go ahead, and after that, Rekha ji. And then we'll end the question with Guru Priya ji, and then I'll take questions on the chat.
Thank
we'll
you.
try and wrap it up by 8:30. Yeah. Go ahead, Sherry.
Namaste, Mohanji. It is very fascinating and feeling very grateful for this offer. Thank you so much. I had a couple of questions. One was about transcription. So YouTube video to text in regional languages, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam. If that is a possibility, what are the restrictions? Maybe what's the length of the video that can be transcribed and so on and so forth. And another thought or suggestion I had was a voice cloning tool, so that we can generate words or quotes of our guru's voice and maybe use it for content creation. So voice cloning with regional language was another.
Cloning, you mean take your voice and give any text, render it in your voice?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yeah, that is right. So that is something that is very much possible. In fact, the TTS that you heard about is there. So that can be enabled. That particular technology was not developed directly by us, but one of the startups closely associated with us. But that's definitely something I will enable and bring forward. And voice to text also, a lot of engines do exist. If there is a good amount of request for it, we will look to customize one of the engines and bring it. So there are a bunch of engines that are out there. But if we think that multiple of us are actually interested in that, voice transcription kind of a thing in Indian languages, we can bring it out. I mean, these are all places where technology is reasonably available. It's only a question of customizing it to the IKS sensibilities and the kind of vocabulary. A lot of times what happens is the vocabulary that is used in an IKS discourse is very different from the common vocabulary that LLMs actually learn on the internet, and that is part of the problem. So this can be very much addressed. Hariji, we can look at this definitely.
I think that Guru voice request clearly helps us identify he is a Swami Chinmayananda product. They all want to hear everything in Swami Chinmayananda's voice. Rekha ji, go ahead.
Yeah, that is doable. That is doable right now. So I'll get around to getting things working on that. But I presume you will have sufficient samples, right? You'll have sufficient samples to try.
So the thought behind that suggestion was we have heard his voice in English. What if we hear him speak in Tamil or other regional languages, but the message is or the content?
That's a little bit iffy yet. We will see how best we can get.
Yeah.
We will see how best we can get. Typically, what happens is the way it gets trained is if the person is there right now, you can actually, you can actually get them to read a couple of passages the way you want and do it. But this, we will check. We will see how close it gets. And, legal issues are there. Somebody typed about legal issues. It is there, obviously. And that is why, we will do it only if somebody who's the the legal hair of that person, allows us to do, and it will be with them, obviously.
Yeah.
Rekha ji, go
So,
ahead and then.
Can I go ahead? Yeah. So Namaste ji, it was really fascinating. I'll keep this very brief. So are you working already with any tour operators? Because yesterday I was talking to somebody who's well known to me, and they are working in the Telangana area, especially with unknown heritage sites or unknown temples, and trying to popularize them. And they're also trying to train local tour guides, creating a very localized, local ecosystem. And that ties in exactly with what you've been saying, empowering from low value services to higher value services. So I was wondering if I see a lot of synergy between what you were saying and what the person was saying yesterday. I was wondering if you were already working with something like that, or that's I can ask them to contact you if you need to test it out in that situation. It sounds like a good.
Please, absolutely. I'll be happy to get connected to them. We are looking to connect with such people who either run local, heritage places, or who are into the tourism travel business, or multiple operators who run tirtha yatras and tours, experiential tours, etc. We'll be very happy to see what their exact needs are and customize these to their needs. Uh, uh, One thing that we have actually worked on right now is to build a complete model, along with all the financial working implications, sustainability, revenue generation, etc., for building these kind of knowledge centers at small places which have sustenance to be a problem. So that is something we got a particular request on, that was from the Ministry of Tourism. So we have worked on that. But in that process, we developed many technologies which can definitely do a lot of things. Right.
I'll put them in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Sure.
We've created a WhatsApp group. We will share it at the end of this call so that the consortium exchanges can happen. We'll also host a web page on Brihat to make sure that all of these requests are tracked. And Mohanji, you can, we'll maintain it like a proper project roadmap for you through this group. Go ahead.
Really nice. Absolutely.
Gurupriya ji, go ahead.
Thanks for another opportunity. Gee, now as the consortium also becomes your alpha testers, or or the beta layer where we consume, we give you feedback, we'd also like to contribute, because many of the AI tools requires quite a bit of training, quite a bit of. Now we definitely would like TTS to work on multiple levels. The AI for Bharat, when I look at some among the even the llamas, open llamas that are existing for various languages, require a lot of parameters, a lot of fine tuning. So as contributors, we would like to also, because this is the community that it would serve us the most, and I think part of a community activity should also be to contribute in terms of be training, testing at alpha beta stages, at whatever ways in which we can engage. I think we are all, I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of all here with the Liberty, but I'm sure I think we should also engage in that way too. However we can be part of it, what opportunities are there, please do share. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was something I was going to make a request about, and thank you so much for preempting the request. I'm very happy about it. Definitely, this is something I will look forward from all of you here. See, because getting text or getting data today is not a problem, but getting the right kind of text or data that is authentic and that we all agree to rely on is the real issue. So I would absolutely like, if all of you can contribute texts that you think are authentic, start whether it is primary sources or secondary sources, secondary derivatives, etc. So we can all bring them in together. And as you know, in this area, data means, the tools will work much better. Trained on much better data, it gives you a much wider ringside view of how the whole information is. So I'll be absolutely indebted if we can bring in all our sources. I mean, Raghavji is, I think, already, he has quite a bit of sources. I think each one of you has a lot of sources that you consider valuable. So if we can bring all the source material together, we have the tools to start, crunching and working on it and see, where it goes. Absolutely. This is going to be a very crucial part and something on which I will rely on all of you for, taking this forward.
It's also amusing that maybe a year ago we didn't have what we have with ChatGPT or generative AI, and we're already at a point of descent with it. It's good that kind of restlessness on traditional heritage tech stacks is actually a good sign. Shastriji had a question on the chat. I don't know if he was able to speak,
Okay.
but it was fundamentally about the operating system and also whether you need a cloud tech right now. I think you briefly alluded to it. You're taking stock of this. I see Shastriji. Shastriji, you want to go ahead and ask if you are able to? Please go ahead. Good to see you, sir, after a long time.
After a long time, yes. And nice to hear all these AI developments. Many of the things what I want to speak can be discussed in person. But what I want to share, what Mohan Raghavanji said, 1995 around, I developed a lot of multimedia content, which was alluded to by the Brahmavarchas team. It has got all the kind of things, virtual tour, temple tour, text translation, voice, games, everything. Now, this was developed on an authoring tool. At that time, it was called a Toolbook. The company was taken over, Canadian, all that stories, long this one. If I have got to redefine the new avatar of this as educational courses into the current system, how can I be helped by your team? That's one thing. The second thing is the Sanskrit keyboard and fonts issues has been coming up very frequently. Devanagari text matras and all that. And we do have our keyboard, which is Sanskrit Shiva Sutra based primarily, accommodating English. We have not discarded English. This is an add-on. How can we work together? This works for all the 16 scripts, 22 languages of India in a true voice sense. So in this sense, please tell me, how can I, kind of share my development experiences on the kind of things that has been talked and to work with the AI. I know a lot of limitations that have gone in the current LLMs, then authoring tools, all these kind of things. So that's all what I wanted to say. Yes, this is not new. We have to tweak the tools and how can we work together. And many times I have to accept with a pinch of salt the claims that are coming that we have done several of these things. Yes, it's good to make a claim, but to become substantiated is extremely challenging, very specifically when it comes to using Gita supersite, permissions, IGNCA, manuscript content, and all these things. So please tell me how I can work together with a team and deliver what we have been aiming for.
Sure, absolutely, Shastri. The simple way to do it is just my phone number will be available to you. I'll make a call to you, or you can make a call to me. We can figure out what needs to be done. It's as simple as that.
We'll coordinate on the WhatsApp group, sir.
No, tell me.
We'll coordinate on the WhatsApp group, and I'll connect you.
No, tell me where you want to come. I will take time and come and sit in your presence. Okay, like the Vikram Betal system. We'll come. Okay, you want me to come to Chennai, or you want me to meet you in Bangalore, Hyderabad? Tell me 2 or 3 days in advance. I will certainly come.
No problem, sir. I'll come to you.
Okay,
I'll come to you. No problem.
I'm in Bangalore. Okay, I am in Bangalore right now, and my
Very
number.
nice. That's my hometown as well. Not a problem. So whenever I'm back home in Bangalore, I will definitely visit.
Yeah, so we can talk to you over phone. My number Raghav can give you. Otherwise,
sure.
I'll just put you on the chat box so that you get it in. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Sure. So in terms of OS, what OS are we using? Well, I things have kind of become it is of course developed on Ubuntu. But a lot of these work across multiple different, it will be one or the other flavor of Linux, typically which runs on the backend, because we want to use open source tools, and open source tools typically work on open systems like Ubuntu or some other flavor of Linux. So that's what the backend will be. But then in terms of cloud technologies, etc., I think that's become agnostic. When you use something through a browser, it does not matter what the backend runs on. We can use it the way we want. It's all through the browser mostly these days.
Okay, we can talk about that in a different
Sure,
context together.
Sure,
Okay.
sure. I think Vibhav had a question about what can UI, UX designers and systems designers and artists do to help this. I think you briefly alluded to this, but if you had any specific request before we close, Mohanji, maybe you can give us that vision of how we can be a part of this.
Sure. So somebody had a question? Yeah.
So it's basically things that you mentioned, but if you can close it with some kind of vision on how we want us to engage and collaborate.
Yes. Just to reinforce the question, what I've been practicing illustration design and attempting to develop a practice which is civilizationally relevant. But so far, I hadn't found out that sweet space. So much of my work was kind of in a competition with AI. I was trying to develop my skill as better than AI. But now I think the time has come to aid in the development of AI. So I need to make people like us need to make that switch. How to aid in that development, and so for that, a lot of reorientation of creative practices need to happen, and that is a conversation we need to have.
Yes, absolutely, Vaibhavji. The best way is, in fact, people like you, skilled illustrators, artists, actually need to teach AI because AI hasn't learned enough. It's still in Montessori. It needs to come out of that as far as understanding Indic content is concerned. So, as I already described to you, a lot of these kinds of images, etc., are what will feed the maturity of AI, and we'll definitely work together on this. I have some plans on this. Okay, so definitely this is something that we will need. So Raghavji, coming to what you talked about. So I feel the broad way in which we can all work together is to come, first of all, come together as a consortium. So, I mean, nothing too formal or whatever it is, we can figure out how formal we want to make it. It's really up to us. But what is more important is to have a way to share what we have with others, especially whether it is tools, data, whatever it is. So, for example, when it is tools, we are very happy, as I said, to share it to all of you. And we are a not-for-profit. We are going to be. It's going to be a not-for-profit, enterprise. So either you will not be charged, or the charge will be just enough to cover expenses and keep afloat. So that is pretty much what it is, and we will be very happy to open it up. So when we come together as a consortium, I think one of the first steps could be, and Raghavji, you can comment on this, how do we formalize this as a consortium? Because when we come together as a consortium, it gives all of us some benefits. It also gives each of us some level of comfort, like we all come together under one roof. So what does it do? Because rather than sharing into the open internet space, sharing within the consortium for all of us is probably much more comfortable than just sharing arbitrarily with anybody. Within the consortium, we know we are all bound to some small set of rules. Like, for example, if A shares some content, everybody recognizes and understands it is. A can put terms and conditions on how the data can be used. Either they share it entirely to the consortium, or they can share it only to the tool and tell the tool in what way this can be used, and when it shows up on search results, how do you want it to represent, etc. We will develop some broad procedures for all of it. And once that happens, then I would say it's a secure way for each of us to share the data we have to a machine, which will use it to actually give back again to all of you when you would make your either search requests or request for any other APIs, etc. So this is the broad way in which we work. There is a tool, all of you content contributors, you contribute content, the tool becomes better, and whatever the tool does actually comes back to you. So this is, I feel, the short story of how this will work. The logistics of creating this consortium and to create terms of engagement, some kind of a small formal structure. Again, we can have discussions. Any of you have thoughts on how we should do it? please do let me know. I'm not fixated on doing it any one way or the other. Whatever works best for all of us, I think should be best. Most important thing is for everybody to come together and start sharing. Only then we are going to make an impact. If we look at the other organizations that have made impact in these areas, they're all billion-dollar companies. And here, I think the best strength that we all have is that we are all passionate and we have a clear purpose, and we all equally have the resources needed to make it happen, which the big companies really don't have. In a way, they're actually starting to pick up the threads on IKS per se, and to start scrounging for traditional indigenous knowledge and sciences, etc. Correct. So in these times, I think this is very imperative for all of us to come together. I think Raghavji is a fantastic leader and coordinator on all of these matters. And I will leave it to his wisdom and all of you here, others, to tell us how we take this forward. We are absolutely committed, like I said earlier. When I wear my technologist hat, and that's exactly what we will do. My job is only to listen to you and to give you the best of the tools that are required to make your work more effective, faster, better, and impactful to the community. Namaste.
Dharma compounding. So we've started a WhatsApp group, and like I said, we will also start a website resource soon. And I will discuss with all of you to take information and input. I think we'll have to balance excitement with a bit of prudence and patience. So Mohanji, we can probably also have follow-up conversations maybe once a month. We'll create some communication plan also for this. So maybe in the next couple of weeks, we will prepare a whole roadmap for this of how we can network and collaborate. And then we'll get back to everyone. But for now, you can join the WhatsApp group and we'll let you know as soon as the website is up. Thank you everyone for the time. And thank you, Mohanji. You make us feel like, we are the ones who are doing the job while you're doing all of it. So that's that's Dharma in action. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namrata, you might want to just close it with a prayer.
Yeah. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste and thank you everyone.
The WhatsApp link, everybody please take a note and join that group. We'll also send a follow-up mail. Thank you.
Thank you so much.